interesting topic about insurance and genetic testing. Again, very hot topic. There's a lot of genetic testing going on, and there's a lot going on in respect to privacy and disclosure. In Canada, we have a public healthcare system, so it's hard to discriminate if you're living here and paying taxes, but there may be some issues with life insurance. And certainly in other countries, it's a hot topic, so I'm interested in hearing what Brent Mizzen has to say. He's the Director of Policy Development for the Canadian Life Health Insurance Association. So welcome, Brent. Thanks for coming.
Okay, here we go. Thanks very much for having me. A couple thank yous. One to the team that put this on, and a special thank you to Melissa, who reached out to CLHIA. Just to give some context as to how we got here, myself and some colleagues had done a number of sessions with genetic counselors about insurance genetic testing, including here at Mount Sinai. And as a result of that, had some good discussions. And Melissa had reached out about just tonight if we'd be interested to be here. So I'm here with a couple of my colleagues and look forward to the discussion. I understand that there may be a couple of questions for us in particular when we get to the Q&A session, so I'll try and be relatively brief, but hit on the highlights of the issues from our perspective. Just first context, CLHIA, what is it? We are a Canadian Life and Health Insurance Association. This is not a promotional thing, it's just so everybody understands how the industry works. We have a range of members, 60 some odd insurers that are members of the association, and we represent them on various issues of interest, which includes underwriting and genetic testing. So that's just a little bit about us. On to the issues. A couple things that I wanted to do. One, just talk a little bit about insurance itself, genetic testing as well, how it relates, what the industry has been doing, just in case anyone's not aware of some of the steps we've taken in this regard. So insurance, in essence, if I were to boil it down, is about protecting unanticipated risks. And there are a whole host of products out there to cover a whole host of unanticipated risks. You can get public insurance, there's private insurance, there's individual insurance, group insurance, there's also different products within there. You can get life, critical illness, long-term care, and so on. Luckily, I'm not going to go through all of that. All I'm going to do is give an example by way of life insurance, just to give a sense of how it's looked at from an insurance point of view. So if we look at life insurance, which is commonly used, somebody applies for life insurance. What is the insurer looking at? The insurer is looking at what that risk profile is of that individual over their lifetime. And so when you apply, it's not just the risk at that point in time, but well into the future. And an important point here is that an insurer will be looking at that point in time, perhaps 70 years out. Once a policy is in place and an individual continues to pay premiums, if there's adverse information about somebody's health that comes to light after that policy is in place, they can't rescind or cancel that policy. So that's an important distinction, perhaps, from if you look at auto insurance, where it's renewable each year. Life insurance, once it's in place, that insurer has that promise going forward until the end of time, so to speak. So that's an important point. Another important thing that I just wanted to point out is that the premiums that individuals pay are related to the risk. So in a general sense, the higher an individual's risk, the higher their premiums would be to pay. As well, I want to note that the risks that individuals have, while they may be different from what causes the risk, an insurer would treat like risks in a like manner. So in other words, two people that have higher risk would pay similar amounts. So the risk categories are bucketed, if you will. How do they get to the risk? Through risk assessment, or what's referred to as underwriting. You may hear that term from time to time. There are a number of ways that they do that. Family history, medical information, lifestyle habits, and so on. Essentially, if there's information that's important from a medical perspective, it will be important from an insurance perspective from determining the risk profile of that individual. And I mentioned just the last point there, that premiums are related to risk. Now, genetic testing, it's been alluded to earlier tonight, has become much more common in recent times. Now, insurers have, since the beginning of their existence, relied upon medical information and information of a genetic nature. But what's coming to light with the popularity or more common approach to using genetic testing is how does that impact how insurers look at risk profiles. And so we've included here on the slide that genetic testing information really is medical information. Genetic information is used in the same way that other medical information is used, and that is to assess the risk profile of the individual, to get a sense of what the risk is that they would have over their lifetime. And so when an insurer looks at, for example, a genetic testing result, it is but one piece of that puzzle that helps them get a sense of the overall risk profile. Industry has been involved in the genetic testing file or field, if you will, for some time, dating back to 2000, and the industry has developed a position which has been updated over time, but there are some key fundamentals that have remained. And essentially here, the fundamental principle that is important from an insurance point of view is that that an insurance contract is good faith and requires equal information. And what that means is that if somebody going to apply for insurance has knowledge of their medical profile or their risk from a medical perspective, that's also important on the insurance side to be able to understand that. Insurers are essentially underwriting the risk or providing financial protection for the risk at hand. So if there's risk that somebody knows about, the insurer would want to know about that risk. And again, equal information is probably something that we'll touch on a number of times. Certainly the industry is aware of the importance of the issues and considerations with genetic testing. Certainly recognize the serious implications that anyone that is considering genetic testing is undergoing. It's a multifaceted decision, and we very much respect the challenges that can go into making that decision and the impacts it will have not only on that individual's life, but also the lives of friends and family of that person. We certainly stay up to date on the developments in this field, and insurers have medical doctors, chief underwriters, researchers that are constantly making sure that they're actively working on this area. As I mentioned, we started to do a fair amount of outreach in recent past. As we talked to genetic counselors, I think we understood that we had some work to do in terms of to help people understand the insurance perspective. It's not always well understood, and so we have certainly tried to do our best to engage with those that are interested in talking with us to get a sense of where we're coming from on this issue. We've also taken some action. We know there have been concerns raised about the insurance perspective in terms of how genetic tests are used, and so on. And so we have taken some steps, and that's actually what I wanted to address next. So for anyone that may not have known, we released what's called our industry code in September of 2014. Two objectives that I just wanted to note here. One, the purpose is to provide guidance on when genetic testing information should be made available to insurers and how it will be used, and to ensure consistency across the industry. This is a public document that is on our website, if anyone's unfamiliar with it or wants to refer to it. And this industry code applies to all of CLHIA's members. It's a condition of membership. And members have started to work on that industry code. So in the next two slides, I want to just cover what is and is not in the industry code, just to give you a sense of what we have done within it. So I'll start with the will not slide. So insurers will not require applicants to go under genetic testing for the purposes of applying for insurance. Now this is something that has been a policy position for some time. We have restated and to be very clear about the position here in that for the purpose, if somebody goes to apply for insurance, an insurer will not, in any circumstance, ask that person or request that person to undergo a genetic test. Second issue, research has been an issue that's been brought up, and the concern that we've heard here is that people may be hesitant to participate in genetic research projects because their insurability can be impacted. And so we certainly discussed and considered this issue because it has public policy implications. It's important from a Canadian public perspective. And what we wanted to do here was respect the equal information aspect. So where somebody has the information, they should share it with the insurer, but if they don't, then it's not necessary for the insurer to have it. So where we came out on this, which is included in the industry code, is that if somebody wants to participate in a research study to benefit the knowledge base or research base for how to, whatever the purpose of the study is, whether it is to diagnose diseases or treat diseases. So if they participate in that through a genetic test, and they or their physician don't have that test result, then there's no need for the insurer to have that test result. Again, that's the equal information basis. Another one that we've heard as well is people are concerned about, well, what if I take a genetic test? Will it impact my children, other family members? So what we have in our genetic code here is our last point here, is that insurers will not require a test result of anyone other than that individual or the individual that's being insured. So that is to address that concern which I just raised there. This is the insurer's will slide in terms of the approach that we'll take in a number of areas. So one is that the industry code is new, so that the insurance industry will, one, educate the employees across the industry, as well as advisors who sell insurance about the industry code, so that they're well versed in it and in their interactions with those who deal with insurance can act accordingly. One of the questions that we commonly get is, how do you know that insurers will abide by this? And the answer is that on an annual basis, members are required to certify that they are abiding by this. So that will be required once a year. Something that has been done in the past and will continue to be done is confidentiality will be respected and treated with the utmost importance. I think the industry has been a leader in this regard and will continue to be so going forward into the future. Now, in the rare circumstances where someone is not able to get insurance, we also wanted to be proactive here in terms of how can we assist individuals that may not be able to get insurance. And we're working through this now, but just to give a flavor of some of the things for considerations are, one, have people considered whether it's group insurance where it's not individually underwritten? Have people considered guaranteed products or simplified products, which are products that provide lower amounts of coverages but have less requirements from a questionnaire medical perspective? The other thing that I wanted to mention is dispute resolution. There's a two-part position here, which is one, insurers will be required to have an internal dispute resolution. So if there's questions as to, I had a genetic test, I applied for insurance, it was denied, I'm not sure I agree with the decision, you can go through the internal resolution process of that insurer. If you're then not comfortable with the results of that, the second process would be to go through what's called the Unlimited Service for Life and Health Insurance, or otherwise referred to as OLI, which is a third-party process to further pursue that matter. So you have those two options there. So those are the highlights of what we refer to as our industry code. Happy to answer the questions later that there may be on this. I think the overall summary here is we as the insurance industry recognize this is a complex subject, also delicate in nature in terms of all the considerations that somebody would be going through when they get to this stage. We've been active on this front for some time. The industry code is one step that we've taken recently. We have been engaging with those that are interested in discussing this. We will continue to do that, and happy to have people reach out to us. And one thing that I'll say now, because I'm not sure if I'll get to in questions and answers, we've had cases in the past where we've had genetic counselors that we've talked to reach out to us just about issues that they've come across. And so what I will do is we very much welcome that. I will leave a pile of business cards so that if anybody wants to reach out after the fact, after tonight, they'll have a contact at CLHIA, and we can certainly work to get you some information and to help you where appropriate. So with that, thank you, and I'll turn it back over.